42 years into their career, 9 studio albums deep, and Armored Saint just put out one of the strongest records of their entire discography. I'm not saying that to hype them up. I'm saying that because it's genuinely hard to explain how a band this far into their run still sounds this fresh. Most legacy acts at this stage are coasting on nostalgia. Armored Saint sounds like they still have a lot more to offer. Emotion Factory Reset is exactly what the title promises, and by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you whether this band has actually earned that title. My history with this band goes back further than you might expect. It starts in a pretty unusual place. The first time I ever heard Armored Saint was 1988 on the soundtrack for The Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2 of the Metal Years. The song was called You Can Run But You Can't Hide. It wasn't on any of the studio albums at the time, just a standalone track on a movie soundtrack. I liked it, but I never followed up. I never went deeper into their catalog. Then I remember catching the music video for Rain of Fire on MTV's Headbangers Ball. And thinking, okay, this band is pretty cool, heavy and melodic with a singer who could actually sing. And then I just moved on. That's the honest truth. And plus, it was the 90s. It was the beginning of the grunge years. The next time I heard the name Armored Saint was when John Bush joined Anthrax. And at that point, someone had to tell me, yeah, that's the guy from Armored Saint. I genuinely hadn't made that connection. And that tells you something about where this band sat in the wider metal conversation. Criminally underrated, even at their most visible. I kind of lost track of the band for a long time, but then in 2020, they released Punching the Sky, one of the first new albums I reviewed on this channel. And that's when it really clicked for me. These guys hadn't lost a step. They sounded like what they used to sound like. So walking into Emotion Factory Reset in 2026, I had real expectations. And I want to tell you right now, this album delivered. Emotion Factory Reset is the 9th full-length studio album by Armored Saint, released May 22nd, 2026 on Metal Blade Records. It was produced by the band's own bassist, Joey Vera, who has been behind the board for their recent records, and who described each Armored Saint album as a new skin, unique snapshot in time. Thematically, the title reflects a desire for emotional liberation, a reset, a clearing of the slate. The guitarist Phil Sandoval put it plainly, given where the world is right now, everything needs a factory reset. It's 11 tracks, and unlike a lot of albums at this stage of a band's career, not a single one of them feels like filler. Well, almost. There's one song maybe, but the lineup is essentially unchanged. John Bush on vocals, Phil Sandoval and Jeff Duncan on guitars, Joey Vera on bass, Gonzo Sandoval on drums. The core unit, most of them together for over 40 years, and that chemistry is all over the record. I'm going to keep this section honest and short because the negatives are here, but they're pretty minor. The biggest issue is formulaic songwriting on a couple of tracks. Not on Your Life is the clearest example. It's not a bad song. The guitar work is actually solid, and there's a solo that incorporates a lick Phil Sandoval learned from guitar virtuoso Guthrie Govan, which is a cool detail, but the overall song feels conventional in a way that the rest of the album doesn't. It's a track that I might skip if I'm pressed for time. Closing track Epilogue has a similar problem. It's energetic, and it does put an exclamation mark on the record, but also the most predictable thing here. After 10 tracks of genuine character, ending on something that's straightforward is a mild letdown. And then there's the lyric issue. John Bush is an elite vocalist, and we'll get to that, but some of the writing veers into cheesy territory. The worst offender is Hit a Moonshot, which includes the line, work it to the core, jack to the core, wreck the town like a cyber war. It's a lot to process. Sounds like it's written by Ivan Moody of Five Finger Death Punch. It's just noticeable. So I'm saying the music saves it. So anyway, that said, these are the kind of complaints you might make when the rest of the album is strong enough with minor missteps stand out. But that brings me to where the record gets good. These are the positives, and there are a lot of them. Let's talk about John Bush first. Man should not sound the way he sounds in 2026. His voice is vibrant, powerful, instantly melodic, and more importantly, his melodies are memorable in a way that only great singers can pull off. You hear a John Bush hook once, and it's in your head for the rest of the day. The fact that he still has this at this stage of his career is genuinely remarkable. Then there's the band chemistry, and this is something that money genuinely can't buy. When you have musicians who have played together for decades. There's a looseness and a confidence, that interplay that younger bands just don't have. The guitar work between Phil Sandoval and Jeff Duncan is vibrant and catchy, trading licks back and forth with a kind of natural ease that makes it look effortless. Joey Vieira's bass playing has this funky, distinctive quality that's almost unheard of in traditional heavy metal, gives the rhythm section a personality of its own. And Gonzo Sandoval behind the kit is an absolute powerhouse, massive, driving, and precise without ever feeling mechanical. The production is punchy and modern without sanding off the edges that make this band feel like them. And crucially, the songs themselves are memorable. This is a hard rock and heavy metal record where the hooks actually hook. That is rarer than it should be. Let me go track by track now. Opening track, Close to the Bone. It's a furious opener, strings and triumphant guitar riffs build into fast-paced rhythms, and Bush's raw vocals. Guitar interplay here has been compared to Iron Maiden, and I understand why. The dual guitar chemistry is all over the track, high energy and anthemic, exactly the right way to open a record. Every Man, Any Man opens with a synth and slightly muted riff that Bush himself describes having an Andy Summers vibe. The backbone of the song is Joey Vieira's funky bass line, genuinely unusual for a metal record, but it works. Mischievous lyrics, crunching riffs, and a fiery solo close it out. Not in Your Life is a guitar-driven song with snappy drums, rich riffs. That Guthrie Govan-inspired solo from Sandoval is the highlight. It's a solid track, but more conventional than everything around it, the one you can skip without missing much. Hit a Moonshot is another one of the singles. It has cheesy lyrics, and that has some kind of like weird synths launched into heavy riffing and crazy cymbal work. It's a really good song. The energy is undeniable, even if the writing is a little cringeworthy, but it's a fun throwback metal anthem. Buckeye is the album's longest track at over 6 minutes. It's the most personal track, inspired by John Bush's daughter leaving home for college in Ohio. It's slower, broodier, moodier, features beautiful slide guitar work from Jeff Duncan. Hints of 90s grunge metal here, and this is the one that catches you off guard, and it's actually one of my favorites. I think it stands out on the album. But then it changed things up because Compromise is a deliberate antithesis to Buckeye. It's punchy, it's thrashy, it has those short, it's like 3.5 minutes and just like lots of fast and loose energy. Sounds like a band playing together in a garage having a blast. Each member gets an individual solo section, which is a fun touch. Then comes a fun song called It's a Buzzkill, a rocker with a slightly progressive structure and infectious riffs. John Bush noted it has a similar groove, with the song dropping like flies from the classic Symbol of Salvation. And if you know that album, you know that song, you might make the connection. Lots of venomous lyrics, cinematic introduction, and one of the better riffs on the record. Then there's Throwing Caution to the Wind. This is written and recorded entirely in the studio. It's old school style and by a full band together. It's spontaneous, it has 80s metal vibes, and it has this mosh pit ready rhythm and a ripping solo through the middle. It's a perfect summer drive song. Then there's Ladders and Slides. This takes things to a grittier place with a modern prog rock drum beat and Joey Vieira's bass pushed right to the front of the mix. Lyrically, it's built around a fictional adrenaline junkie living life at the extremes, one of the heavier moments on the back half. Track 10 is called Bottom Feeder. It stumps with a steroidal alternative rock energy, some dangerous guitar riffs, sarcastic lyrics aimed at arrogant people, and the delivery matches the contempt. Along with Ladders and Slides, keeps the energy surging through the final stretch where most albums start losing steam. Final track is Epilogue, a breathless closer driven by a racing bass line and muscular riffs, ends with a final guitar solo that bookends the album nicely and a triumphant I Am the Catalyst. It puts on an emphatic period on the record. It's conventional but effective. Here's what I keep coming back to with this album. Armored Saint has now put out 3 consecutive strong records, Win Hands Down, Punching the Sky, and now Emotion Factory Reset. That kind of consistency at this stage of a career isn't just impressive, it's almost unheard of. Most bands this far in are either making nostalgia cash grabs or releasing records that feel like an obligation. Armored Saint sounds like they genuinely cannot help themselves. They make records because they still have something to say and still know how to say it. Emotion Factory Reset acknowledges the 80s DNA that built this band while it sounded completely alive in 2026. When I listen to Close to the Bone or It's a Buzzkill, I hear echoes of Symbol of Salvation, one of the great heavy metal records of the 90s. But I don't feel like I'm listening to a band chasing their own past. They're building on it, and that's a meaningful distinction. The minor criticisms are real, a few couple of formulaic tracks, a few cheesy lines, but they don't define a record. What defines this record is the chemistry, the vocals, the riffs, the undeniable sense that the band is still fully engaged with what they're doing. Some reviews have gone as far as to say it's a contender as one of the best albums Armored Saint has ever made. I think it's too early for me to say that, but I understand the impulse. My final score is 8.5 out of 10, a band that has earned every year of their legacy and keeps adding to it. So check out the playlist, 2026 album reviews, all reviews from 2026, and below it I'm going to stick my review of Punching the Sky from 2020. It's one of my older videos, so it's going to look very raw. But check out everything, and please like the video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.